Hi friends! Today for Read Aloud I have 16 runaway pumpkins and pumpkin soup. So we're going to start with 16 runaway pumpkins, one of our counting books. It's harvest time in the pumpkin patch. Sam tells Gramps, "Hooray! I'll pick you lots of pumpkins. I'll fix my wagon up today." Sam finds one tiny pumpkin, then a plump one. Sam has two. She sees two more under a vine playing peekaboo. Sam dumps them into the wagon. She counts the pumpkins there. 4 of them thump bump together. That's plenty of room to spare. She plunks 4 chunky pumpkins next to the other 4. 8 pumpkins thunk clunk together. Sam double her pumpkin score. Sam stacks 8 lumpy pumpkins on the 8 pumpkin clump inside. 16 pumpkins slam jam together. It's one jiggly wiggly ride. The wagon wobbles, the wagon tips. Pumpkins slip out from behind. "Look out!" Sam shouts as each pumpkin becomes the hill-rolling bowling ball kind. Now whoosh! The pumpkins pick up speed. They tumble, they rumble, they glide. They're on a roll, out of control, on a stump, bumping, ditch, jumping, slide. 8 pumpkins skate past Gramps' garden gate. 4 dash through the open front door. Sam runs after runaway pumpkins that skid on Gramps' clean kitchen floor. Gramps winks at Sam. "Don't worry," he says, "about a cracked pumpkin or two." He hands Sam a spoon and an old flannel shirt. "Now I know what we can do." Pots and pans rattle. Egg beaters fly. In double time, Sam helps bake pie after pie. Sam's family comes to the table. Forks are raised with a happy sigh. Then Sam and her kin dig in with a grin. They all feast on Sam's pumpkin pie. The end. And then we have pumpkin soup. Deep in the woods, there's an old white cabin with pumpkins in the garden. There's a good smell of soup, and at night, with luck, you might see a bagpiping cat through the window, and a squirrel with a banjo, and a small singing duck. Pumpkin soup, the best you ever tasted. Made by the cat who slices up the pumpkin. Made by the squirrel who sits and stirs the water. Made by the duck who scoops up a pimpkin of salt and tips in just enough. They slurp their soup and they play their song. They pop off to bed in a quilt stitched together by the cat, embroidered by the squirrel, and filled with fine feathers from the duck. And it's peaceful in the old white cabin. Everyone has his own job to do. Everyone is happy, or so it seems. But one morning, Duck woke up early. He tiptoed into the kitchen and smiled at the squirrel's special spoon. "Wouldn't it be fine," he murmured, "if I could be the head cook?" He drew up a stool, hopped up on top, and reached until his beak just touched the tip of the spoon. Ker plunk, down it clattered. Then Duck trotted back to the bedroom, held up the spoon, and said, "Today it is my turn to stir the soup." "That's mine," squeaked Squirrel. "Stirring is my job. Give that back." "You're much too small," snapped the cat. "We cook the way we always have." But the duck held on tight until the squirrel tugged with all his might, and whoops! The spoon spun through the air and bopped Cat on the head. There was trouble, a horrible squabble, a row, a racket, a rumpus in the old white cabin. "I'm not staying here," wailed the duck. "You never let me help with anything," and packed up the wheelbarrow, put on his hat, and he waddled away. "You'll be back," stormed the cat, "after we've cleaned up," and the squirrel shook his spoon in the air. But the duck didn't come back, not for breakfast, not even for lunch. I'll find him, scoffed the cat. He'll be hiding outside. I bet he's in the pumpkin patch. But the duck was not in the pumpkin patch. They could not find him anywhere. So they waited all that long afternoon. The cat watched the door, the squirrel paced the floor. That duck will be sorry when he comes home, they muttered, but the duck didn't come home, not even at soup time. And the soup wasn't tasty. They made it too salty. They didn't feel hungry anyway. They both sobbed over supper, and their tears dribbled in their soup and made it even saltier. We should have let him stir the soup, sniffed Squirrel. He was only trying to help, wept the cat. Let's go out and look for him. The cat and the squirrel were scared as they wandered down the path into the dark, dark woods. They feared for the duck all alone with the trees and the foxes and the wolves and the witches and the bears. But they couldn't find him. On and on they trudged until they reached the edge of a steep, steep cliff. Maybe he fell down that, wailed Cat. I'll save him, squeaked Squirrel as he scrambled down on a long, shaky rope. He searched all around on the ground, but he couldn't find the duck. Then Cat whispered in a sad little voice, Duck might have found some better friends, he might, sighed the squirrel, friends who let him help. And the more they thought about it as they plodded back, the more they were sure they were right. But when they were almost home, they saw a light shining from the old white cabin. It's Duck, they shrieked as they burst through the door. And the duck was so happy to see them. He was also so very hungry. And though it was late, they thought they would all make some pumpkin soup. When the duck stirred, the cat and the squirrel didn't say a word, not even when Duck stirred the whole soup so fast that it slopped right out of the pot, not even when the pot got burnt. Then Duck showed the squirrel how to measure out the salt, and the soup was still the best you ever tasted. So once again it was peaceful in the old white cabin, until the duck said, I think I'll play the bagpipes now. The end. I hope you enjoyed our books today, friends. Bye.